A warm, warm welcome to each of you. Every week I say, it's so lovely to gather together, and I really feel that. I really feel that it's wonderful that we have this opportunity to practice together. And that we become a Sangha in this way, this very uniquely modern way. And so today is the Sunday Sounds of Dhamma program, as ever. And we'll have about half an hour of meditation, about half an hour of Dhamma talk, and some time for questions and reflections, comments at the end, and the dedication of merit at the very end. And before that, I want to just make a couple of announcements. So I will be heading on up to Massachusetts, to Barrie Center for Buddhist Studies, for a retreat, to offer a retreat up there. So I leave on Tuesday, so the vihara will be closed for in-person practice from this Tuesday through the following Sunday. And that means all of the public programs are paused while I'm away teaching other people. And except for Thursdays. So Thursday mornings, Thursday at 9:30. So I just want to say that it went out with the old time on it again recently, but the current time for Thursday morning virtual meditations with Rocky Parekh, who is our teacher for Metta on Thursday mornings, is 9:30 a.m. Eastern to 10:15. And what else? So the registration for the March retreat is still open as a retreat about intention and embodied action on the path, and how to find that balance with receiving the wisdom of your life. And also I will be on retreat on solitary retreat for a good part of February. So please do keep an eye on the website for various changes. And I appreciate all your support and presence, even when we don't see each other. We are still walking the way together. So with that, I will go ahead and begin this morning's meditation. I thought this morning it would be a good practice, given what the talk is going to be about, but it might be good to begin with a practice of observing cessation, just watching endings. Sometimes the preference is to watch the arising of the world, the arising of various phenomena, or their presence. Sometimes you catch them in the middle there. But just noticing endings, and perhaps noticing reactions that you have to endings. Sometimes that's also very instructive. So please do go ahead and mute all your mics. If you haven't already done so, please check to make sure that your mic is muted. And you can begin by establishing a balanced and upright meditation posture. Maybe rocking the body from front to back and from side to side, just to loosen up any tendency to lean toward the computer or to hold on to tension. Just releasing what you can in this moment. And sensing the natural stability of the body on your seat, on your supports. Relaxing the belly. And really allowing the body to continue to settle right here in this place and time. And then moving the attention slowly up the torso. Also releasing the muscles around the chest and the ribs. Just allowing plenty of room for the breath to breathe according to its natural rhythms. And allowing the head and the neck to also come into alignment. And perhaps relaxing the muscles of the face, softening the eyes, softening the mouth. And now turning the attention to become aware of endings. Just noticing the end of a sound or a breath. the end of a thought, or some sensation in the body. Just aware of cessation, moment by moment. Staying curious about endings. Noticing the end of phenomena as it comes into awareness. Being present for the sensations and phenomena of this moment, and noticing the endings. Perhaps also checking in with your responses to seeing endings. Just noticing whether observing the cessation brings ease, relief, or does it bring tension and clinging? Just aware of the responses to what you observe. attending to moments of cessation as a breath or a thought or a sound comes to its end. And in these last few minutes of the meditation, also checking in as to whether there's anything that you can observe that doesn't cease. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. Excuse me. And if you have any questions or reflections about that, we'll take them at the end. For now, I'm going to go ahead and share a Dhamma talk. And as usual, I can begin with the homage to the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Everyone's welcome to chant along if you would like. And if you prefer, you can also just let it wash over you. So please be sure your mics stay muted. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. I want to begin today's talk with a story. It's a story about an encounter that some folks had a very long time ago. And the only reason to tell these old stories is if they mean something to you today. So I hope that's the case, and I hope that you will think about it in that light as you listen to this story. How's the sound? Is everybody okay? Hearing okay? Yes, okay, good. So this is a story of a Chinese man who became a Buddhist monk back in about the 9th century, early to middle part of the 9th century. And he had a lot of questions. He was known for having a lot of questions about the nature of reality, we could say. And he practiced with several different teachers, a couple of very famous teachers, in fact. So his name is Dongshan, and his first teacher was Guishan. And he had some interesting experiences with Guishan, but at some point, Guishan sent him to practice with his Dharma brother, with Guishan's Dharma brother, Yunyan. And it was there that that Dongshan had even further, you could say, depth to his questioning. And we don't know really how long he was with Yunyan, but what we do know is we have this lovely record of these old teachers, because Chinese culture is very good about keeping records and lineages and tracking these kinds of things over time. Really honoring their heritage. And so Yunyan and Dongshan are having a conversation, and Dongshan asks Yunyan this question. He says, when I want to see it face to face, what should I do? Yunyan says, well, ask somebody who's done it. Dongshan says, that's what I'm doing. And Yunyan answers by saying, what can I say to you? What can I say to you? In other words, I'm not going to resolve this problem. I'm not going to try to explain it to you. Right? And I want to thank, this is, so I'm reading from this book called Zen's Chinese Heritage by Andy Ferguson, Andy Ferguson. And he did a really wonderful job of piecing together various parts of the stories of the ancestors, men and women ancestors of the Chinese parts of the Zen lineages. So this is kind of a Zen story, a Zen koan. But the part of the story, so this goes on. So Dongshan is basically looking for some answers, and this goes on. But then at some point, he decides that it's time to leave Yunyan. So he's already left at least two teachers, the teacher he had before Guishan, then Guishan, and now he's ready to leave Yunyan. And, that people do change teachers, that we wouldn't say that that was a regular thing, but it's also not extremely uncommon. Some folks would actually even go on pilgrimage and kind of go around and talk to different teachers. That's what Ehe Dogen did when he got to China, looking for someone that he felt would be a good fit for him. But in any event, so Dongshan's getting ready to leave Yunyan. And he says, it's a very poignant conversation. Yunyan says, where are you going? And Dongshan says, although I'm leaving the master, I don't know where I'll end up. So he's in this search, this spiritual, this very moving kind of spiritual seeking. And he doesn't know where the answer might be. So there's some more of the conversation that's recorded here, but then there's a part where Dongshan says, just as he's about to leave, he says, if in the future someone happens to ask whether I can describe the master's truth or not, how should I answer them? So he's basically asking Yunyan, do I have your seal of approval? Have I understood your teaching? Wow. That's a big question to ask when you're standing on the doorstep with all your things packed. Huh? And it says, after a long pause, Yunyan says, just this is it. Just this is it. And then the story, as it's recorded, says, Dongshan sighed. So we get the impression, right, of Dongshan at this pivotal moment in his practice. He doesn't have the answer. And Yunyan's given it to him, but not exactly. right? Not in a form that he is really ready to embody and fully understand. Just this is it. So I'll say a little bit more about how we might understand that teaching in a moment, but I'm going to go on a little bit more further into the story and then we'll come back to that. So Dongshan sighs and puts on his sandals and leaves. As he's leaving, Yunyan says, "Worthy Liang," that was his given last name. "Now that you have taken on this great affair, you must consider it carefully." Meaning, don't give up. Huh? You have this unsettledness in your heart, but don't let it discourage you. Keep going. Right? Stay with it. And the story says Dongshan continued to experience doubt. So there, I want to stop there before we get to the next dramatic part. So there are various ways to understand this teaching. I expect that at this point in his path, Dongshan understands just this is it to mean something like, it doesn't get any better than this, or, just everyday life is good enough, or, don't look for my approval. You're fine, right? Those are various ways that Dongshan could have understood it at that point. And that might be where the sigh comes from, right? Because to him, that wasn't the truth. That, yeah, everything is okay as it is. He wasn't happy with that at that moment. Mm. So then we come to the most beautiful part of the story, though. And I would say that's a very beautiful part. So Yunyan does several things we see in these two conversations, right? He doesn't coddle him. He doesn't approve of him, but he tries to encourage him, right? And he tries to give some pointers that might help. Right? But he's put it squarely on Dongshan, as he must, right? As he must. Because we each have to do this work ourselves, just as Dongshan did, just as Yunyan did, just as Guishan did before him, and as the Buddha did before them. It's on us to sort this out. With help, with encouragement, as best we can. Huh? So I hope you have all put on your sandals, right? And gotten on the path. So here you are. Huh? So this next part of the story is the most beautiful part of the story. So Dongshan, in the midst of this great, kind of, I imagine, agonizing or very kind of gnawing doubt that he has, right? He's seen all the best teachers. He's practiced hard. He's thought about it. He's meditated. And still something hasn't quite resolved for him. So there he is, and it says, here's the story as it's been recorded. Later, he crossed a stream. As he crossed the stream, he saw his reflection in the water and was awakened to Yunyan's meaning. Then he composed this verse: "Avoid seeking elsewhere, for that is far from the self. Now I travel alone, and everywhere I meet it. Now it is exactly me, but now I am not it. It must be thus understood to merge with thusness. Right? So this is Andy's translation of it. It's fair. All the translations are fairly close. There's not a lot of question around what it was that he said. So avoid seeking elsewhere, for that is far from what you're looking for. Now I travel alone everywhere I meet it. And I'm going to say a little bit more about what the it is. But I want to just put ourselves there at that moment of crossing the stream and seeing the reflection. Put yourself there for a moment. So Dangshan is there doing some everyday thing. Maybe he's going to wash his hands or wash his face or get a drink of water or just sit down by the river. And he looks down and he sees his reflection. This ephemeral, shimmering bit of light. That he could say is him. Oh, that's me. But he knows suddenly in that moment, no. It's just that. It's just that ephemeral shimmer of light. That is the actual truth of the matter. That even the stream is just earth and water and light and energy, movement, all come together in this particular form for this particular moment in time. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus said, you cannot step into the same river twice, right? Even the river is always changing. For Heraclitus, he was known as the crying philosopher because people didn't understand. But he got it, right? At least one kernel of it. So Dongshan sees his reflection in the river, in the stream, and he knows, yes, this is it. This ephemerality, this play of the elements, this momentary state of the bright, clear world that shows this thing, that's it. Just this is it. It is showing us all of the things that are true about everything, the impermanence of it, the ungraspability of it, the conditionality, how the conditions have to all come together in a particular way, in a particular moment, for the world to be like this. All of those universal principles, just right here in your regular, average, everyday, arriving at the stream to get a taste of the water. And yet, it is him. It is his reflection in the stream, not Yunyan's, not some eternal being. It's his reflection. That shimmer, that ephemerality, that world reflecting back. This state, this thing, as it was for just an instant. Just this is also it, right? That same play of earth and water and fire and air. How could it be otherwise? That's why he says, now I walk alone, and still everywhere I meet it. And what is it? It is the truth, the reality, the Dharma. This life is the Dharma, is those truths, is that great activity, the arising, the presence, the ceasing, all happening. That's what this life is. That's why the practice asks us to look again and again at what is this experience? Just this is it, Yunyan says. Don't seek elsewhere. It's not that it's not elsewhere. It's also happening there in the stream, in your kitchen, in the snowstorm, in whatever is happening. But you have at hand what the Buddha referred to as this fathom-long body, enough for absolute wisdom to arise. Enough of a demonstration for perfect enlightenment. That is your human inheritance. You couldn't lose it if you tried. You couldn't hide it from yourself, even if you tried. That great doubt, that great confusion that Dongshan had, it didn't obstruct him. And why? Because he stayed with it. Because he stayed close to it. That intimacy with his experience. Enough to let it unlock that suffering in his heart and release it. Ah, yes. That reflection in the stream. Perfection, right here, right now. Completely unbidden, unexpected. There it is. Here it is. Yeah. Here it is. So he says, now it is exactly me, meaning the truth, reality, the Dhamma is exactly me. I understand that this thing, this body, this mind, this whole life is that thing. And then he says, he follows it up with what sounds like confusion for some folks. Now I am not it, meaning I'm not the whole thing, right? I'm just one phenomena in the myriad phenomena of the universe. I am one phenomena expressing the perfection of all the principles that are true about everything. So he says, it must be thus understood. So this is key, right? There, he's talking about what? He's talking about realization, awakening. That moment of where it clicks. It must be thus understood in order to merge with thusness, to merge with truth, with reality, with suchness, we sometimes say. To merge with the Dhamma. So that's what awakening is like, merging with the truth. Mind you that you couldn't be away from the truth. You never were, right? But there's this sense of merging with it, of this coming together, of the parts fitting suddenly, right? Not that you get something new And that's what's beautiful about Dongshan's expression as well, right? Dongshan doesn't suddenly say, ah, yes, I can give myself approval. He doesn't need that even at this point, right? He doesn't need Yungnyan's approval or his own approval at this point, because he understands that this thing is already it. It is already beyond any title you could put on it. So later, he was making offerings to Yunyan. So Yunyan had passed, and he was making offerings to Yunyan's image. And one of his students asked him, what was Yunyan? He says, the student quotes Yunyan and says, oh, I heard that Yunyan said, just this is it. And Dongshan says, yes. And the student asked Dongshan, what was his meaning? And Dongshan replies by saying this, back then, I almost misunderstood my teacher's meaning. Mm. There's great humility and also an encouragement for his student, right? Like, yeah, you have to go look for that too. I had to go look for his meaning. I had to try to understand it. And the student asks, well, I don't know. I would like to know if Yunyan really knew this or not. Meaning, was he an actual enlightened master, right? So this student has doubt now about Dongshan and about Yunyan and about, right, about everybody. And to Dongshan, this is familiar territory, right? He doesn't, he's not fazed by that. And he gives this beautiful answer. He says, if he didn't know, how could he speak in this manner? Right? But then he says also, he says, but if he did know, then why was he willing to speak this way? In other words, he did me a huge favor. He tried to explain it in a way, not a full explanation, right? But he gave me this pointer. He understood it, but he stepped from the ineffable back into language to try to give me this pointer. And for that reason, I'm making offerings to his image now after he's died. Beautiful, right? What great. He comes full circle. Dongshan does, right? He comes full circle. From not understanding, from frustration, from perhaps despair, confusion, doubt, wandering, to this deep knowing and this deep appreciation for the path that he walked and that he was helped to walk. Mm. And again, he doesn't resolve it for his student, right? He doesn't fix it for the student and say, oh, Yunyan had this title or that or that temple, or he made me understand. He doesn't say any of that, right? He just leaves it there where it is. For him to do his own questioning, his own seeking, his own discovery. Mm-hmm. So I tell you this story in part because, again, Zhongshan, all of these are very famous teachers. Their stories get told very often. Dongshan's actually one of the founders of the Soto school, the school of Japanese Zen, or the original, what's called the Shaodong. sorry about my Chinese, school, which Dogen brought over and became Japanese Zen. But that's not the reason to tell you the story, right? The reason to tell you the story is about encouragement. We all come to these points in the path where we feel like we don't know what we're doing, or we don't know why we're doing what we're doing, or we don't know if wisdom is really happening for us, or if enlightenment is really even possible, or if these old stories are really true. And you might reach out and you might look for someone to try to resolve that for you. But that is a thing that only you can resolve. And you must. Please do that. Please don't give up on yourself. My master Sekihara Roshi used to say, stopping practice is like committing suicide. It's giving up on yourself. So when you come to those doubtful moments and you don't get the answer that you want, or you don't get the resolution or the explanation, or that sudden aha, just stay with it. Be there for yourself. And know that there are others who are walking with you, helping you as best we can, but we cannot resolve it for you. Only you can resolve it for you. But you can. You can. The Buddha himself said, I would not tell you this if you could not do it for yourself. You can. By being intimate with this life, with those doubts, with that very, very questioning that arises in you. How is it? Is it like that? And then you can taste the beautiful water of the stream, the beautiful reflection of the stream for yourself. And know that just this, just you are also it. Okay, my friends, that's my reflection for today. And we have plenty of time for some comments, questions about the talk or about the meditation or what's going on with your practice life. Maybe somebody who doesn't often speak up could say something today. Maybe somebody wants to share or ask a question or let's see, there's something in the chat. What's here in the chat? Oh, okay.
So I just had a small comment during the meditation. I was, you said, what does not cease? And my first thought was my thoughts. I was like, oh my God, it's always going. But then I realized that every thought also ceases, that even though it seems like they're constantly going on, each one does come to an end. So that was just a moment that happened during the meditation. Thank you for that.
Lovely, Tosh. Thank you for reflecting. Yes. Yes. And that's so important to acknowledge that, you know, because if you talk to yourself like that and you're always saying, oh, yeah, you know, it never changes, or it's always, or it's permanent, or whatever, it's just a way of speaking that is reinforcing wrong view, right? So instead, you came back around to right view, and there you were. Nice. Other thoughts, other reflections? Yes, Brad.
So just the guided meditation and the story, the koan together, it's just so rich. Um, what I find myself doing these days, even though I don't formally practice in Zen anymore, is observing cessation. What I find naturally coming up is
Mm.
Layman Pong's beautiful snowflakes.
Mm.
And I think it for people who have anxiety around cessation,
Mm.
just sitting with that image can help to soothe that a bit. It's like, oh yeah, this is sensation falling, thoughts falling, you know. And it seems appropriate today since most of us have snow falling outside.
Yes.
So it's a good day to meditate on that. So anyway.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Brad. Yes. It is a beautiful image. Thoughts falling like snowflakes and then hitting the ground and eventually melting. Yeah, sweet. Hiya.
Um, I guess, oh, excuse my dog. Um, I often see, I guess it's more of a Theravada thing, but like I see my thoughts as Brad said, not snowflakes, but more like a river. But and I'm not even looking at them individually. It's just this river of thoughts going by. But at the same time, I don't know if you would see it as cessation exactly, but it's like I I see time sort of divided up into like I don't even know if it's I'm seeing it or it's just a mental knowing or what, but like I know that it's made up of um tiny little, like my brain is seeing like a
Mhm.
movie, you know what I mean? Individual
Mhm.
cells. So,
Mhm.
so I don't know if that I'm seeing like the end of each cell or what. I don't know how to describe it. Um,
Mm.
but it's so continuous at the same time that I'm not sure if I'm seeing cessation. I don't know if you
Yeah.
can comment on that.
Yes. So it's a good reflection and observation. And I'm wondering, Hav, what you're talking about is that if you are perceiving like individual, if these each of these fingers is an individual thought, right? And the attention is kind of flowing along this way as individual thoughts are here, but because they're coming quickly, then you kind of hop from the end of one to the start of the next one immediately, right? Without actually having a sense of any kind of space between them. So it
I
seems
can
like more
slow it.
continuous flow.
I can slow it down. It's like almost an act of will,
Mm-hmm.
that I can
Mm-hmm.
slow it down and can sort of see the spaces, but it still keeps going.
Well, so in other words, you haven't seen the cessation of the stream of thought, but you can see the cessation of the individual moments of thought.
Right.
Okay.
Although I can't like dwell in them or like feel them necessarily, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and doing, I would say, being able to drop more deeply into that would be supported by more concentration. Hey, Stick.
Yeah. Um, that's wild. Um, I was noticing sequential moments of there'd be this tie-in of this is a general uh, experience of pleasantness, micro moments coming and going around. And then there'd be a shift to unpleasantness, micro moments going in and out. And there'd be this back and forth in a sense of, ah, there was a real sense of coming into the grips of the changing nature and the transitions between pleasantness and unpleasantness, but happening on a macro and a micro level at the same time. And it was just really just amazing to feel that. And then I had a persistent unpleasant thought. It was related to clinging. Is well, what happened to the Wednesday morning sessions? And I had the idea that maybe we could have that be a group sangha session where we just show up and we just see what happens, whoever shows up. And I don't know what the logistics of that would be for however that's managed, but you know, have no teacher, no agenda, but we're all having a sangha experience. It could have moments of silence. It could be getting to know each other, and it would just play out in terms of a discovery of sort of along the lines of this interaction between the brothers in your story. Of anyway, that was just a thought that kept coming up for me while all the other stuff was going on. So
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
Well, I appreciate the suggestion, Stick. I think, I'm trying to sort out what's happening with the Wednesdays so that we have a little more continuous flow of them, but I haven't quite gotten there yet. But I did want to talk to you about that actually. So
Okay.
let's talk about it soon.
Okay.
And yeah, in terms of the reflection of the meditation, sounds to me like you're staying very close to Vedana, and that's very helpful. Seeing how the Vedana is shifting, staying close to those moments of experience by staying close to the Vedana.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, Evelyn, please.
Thank you. I'm wondering about not being able to perceive a sensation ending. Like I have a persistent sound in my ear, and I kept focusing on it to see if I could identify a moment to moment or sequential aspect of it, and my mind doesn't see it.
So do you notice variations in the sound? Like it's a continuous sound, but then there are little variations?
I can work with that.
That's where I would start, is to look at
Okay.
each variation as representing a
An end.
new, exactly, an end of the previous one, a new start, then that one comes to its end.
It certainly would be subtle, but just that thought that there is a variation is helpful. I can see if there is,
Okay. Okay.
There probably is what my head says, and I'm kind of used to dissociating from it in order not to focus on it. So it might be that I'm not attuned to it enough to hear it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank
Yes. You're welcome. Yes, Brian. Hi there.
Hi, thanks so much for the talk. I had a question about what you see as the fruition of the practice, as far as the more we engage with this practice, are more moments like that moment of clarity, seeing the reflection. Does that become sort of an everyday experience in more and more moments?
Well, so the way that I think about it is that there are moments of insight. There are those aha moments that happen where something clicks, or some confusion is dropped off, or some doubt is clarified. And then you could say that does become the way that you understand what you see from that point forward. In other words, the definition of insight is that it changes your perception of your experience going forward from that point. If it doesn't, then it wasn't an insight, actually. Right? So when there are those moments, then the everyday experience is different. And that's what Dongshan's also saying, right? He says, now I travel alone, but everywhere I meet it. Everywhere. All the time. So that's happening, you could say, with regard to various aspects of delusion over time. So if I thought of delusion as being like an iceberg, there are hunks of iceberg that are calving off, right, with various insights. And then eventually there is, you could say, one final insight that eliminates all of that. And it's not, as I've said before, it's not a permanent state. None of these things are permanent states. It's rather that the insight makes it possible for you not to be fooled by the everyday state of perception anymore, and to know actually more clearly what's really happening there. So that you don't cling to it anymore. You don't identify with it anymore. You don't, try to appropriate it into your, wanting reality to be a certain way anymore. You're just able to receive reality as it is and be at peace with that and respond skillfully to that from moment to moment.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Welcome. Yes, Anita.
I notice that thoughts come and go. There's like even tiny, it's not even a formed thought. It's just it just comes up and it goes. And, but even with that, it brings sometimes fear, sometimes, whatever, with the world the way it is, maybe anger, whatever, it just comes and goes. But there always seems to be this underlying, like a restlessness. It's like, it's just not enough. It's like, I mean, I realize how it drives me to keep doing something. And it's only when the mind settles in meditation that it that restlessness can settle, but it's almost like it's just like, and there's really nothing in the moment that's not enough, but it requires that degree of mindfulness to see that. So anyway, I don't know what I'm asking. I'm just saying that there seems to be like a thread of restlessness, or it just doesn't seem to be enough. So
Yes, I appreciate that. I appreciate the reflection there, Anita, and that you have observed that and you're able to communicate it. You know, that what I hear there is the actual definition of dukkha. That is dukkha. Dukkha, you know, dukkha refers to if you had a wheel and the hole is in the wrong place in the wheel, and then the wheel goes ka-thunk, ka-thunk, or like when you get the grocery cart that has the bad wheel, ka-thunk, ka-thunk, ka-thunk. That's dukkha, right? Years ago, we were doing like a over the phone panel interview for one of the magazines, and I was asked, what is dukkha? And I said, you know, sometimes I think of dukkha as being like existential angst. It's like this very deep feeling of not okayness that is there. And yes, that can be relieved. That can drop away. That can, by virtue of insight and wisdom, it can be released. That idea that there's something wrong or something better, or even something to do can oftentimes just be released. But in the meantime, when you experience that, you can know it, and you can sometimes look at the conditions that are surrounding it. What are the specific conditions? You know, because that is what the Four Noble Truths are saying dukkha is there, dukkha arises, it's here, it's present, and there are causes and conditions that we can identify and that we can actually let go of, that we can actually abandon. And dukkha can be resolved. That is the Four Noble Truths. And the fourth Noble Truth is, how is that resolved? Well, by walking the Noble Eightfold Path. So there's not one, as again, going back to our theme of today, there's not one simple answer to it. It's actually the entirety of the path is the way that is attended to. Right.
but I'm not craving anything in particular. I'm not wanting anything like a sense desire. Is it a craving for becoming, or,
Yeah.
or
It could be, or a craving for, if you have fear, oftentimes craving, that is a reflection of the desire to become, to be, survival. Right? That's why we say that with insight, even the fear of death is relinquished. Yeah. Well, we're going to hit all the big topics today. Hello, Evelyn.
Yeah, I just had a follow-up that I wonder about it's seeming that some things don't stop. That I'm trying to find something that tells me it does, but it really does not truly appear to be that way unless my thought imposes that idea that it must stop at some point, or it must vary at some point.
Right. So the imposing the idea isn't going to resolve the question, as you're seeing. So it's really about observation. It's really about observation and refining your perception through meditation such that you can, really observe. Does it or does it not? even consciousness. Does it or does it not cease?
Well, in the sense that life never stops, I'm just sort of extrapolating. Are there things that don't stop, that there are simply variations or subtleties and aspects, but that in fundamental reality, there is something that doesn't stop?
Well, I could put it this way. There are folks who have debated this for many centuries, including Buddhist folks, and I know where I land on this, but I think you have to investigate it for yourself. That's why I asked you in the meditation, because I think you have to investigate it for yourself. When I look, I don't see anything that doesn't cease, actually. But that's my experience, and you're not trying to match up to my experience. You're trying to discern what is your experience. I hope.
I am, yeah, thank you.
Okay, beautiful. Yes, Haya.
Back to the river. The river itself does cease at some point, and I drop, down into something deeper. But I don't usually see it until after I'm already there. So like, I still don't experience the ceasing. So again, is that just a matter of concentration?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a matter of concentration or a matter of insight. It has to be one or the other. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, we've pretty much arrived at our time, unless there's one quick, short question. Dana appears to be away from her screen, so oh, no. Yes, there she is. Dana, would you like to please make the announcement, and Joso putting the information in the chat? Thank you both.
The practice of giving and receiving has been a part of Buddhism since its inception. Giving to Dassanaya Buddhist Community supports Dhammadīpā, our guiding teacher, the physical location at the vihara, and allows us to continue to offer Buddhist teachings in support of the awakening of all beings. Our support pages are on the website under the Support tab, Donate, Volunteer, or Offer Materials. In addition, about once a month, we send an email newsletter with a note from Dhammadīpā about meditation, classes, and retreat schedules. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. So may the merits of our practice here together today be a cause and a condition for our complete awakening, that we and all beings might be free from every form of suffering and delusion, that we and all beings might find true clarity, true peace of mind, and that we might know ourselves as Dhammas by the power of the Buddhas, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, and each one's efforts. May every being be liberated. Thank you so much. Stig, do you want to stay on for 1 second? Can you stay on for a moment? Thank you. Bye, Hagen. So thank you for bringing up the Wednesday, Stig. Would you like to lead the meditation on the Wednesday?
I could do that. Yeah.
Please do it. Please do it.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll send out an email Mark and Julia, who are the two folks, and we'll change it on the website. And you lead the Wednesday, this
Okay.
Wednesday. Okay?
Okay.
And then
all
we'll
right.
talk about it again a little bit more. We'll see how you let me know how it goes.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see how it goes. And then we'll talk about during my solo also, because there's going to be 3 weeks during my solo.
Mhm.
And I was going to ask Kodo to do one, but I don't want to give him a lot. He's not quite ready. He's only ever done one guided meditation in his life, so I don't think he's
Okay.
ready for it.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm game. Let's see what happens. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's better.
There just seems to be an accelerated experience of synchronicity that's going on for me right now. It just seems very magical, and so yeah. And the talk was perfect today, I thought, just really perfect. The timing of it also was just exquisite, like as Brad was commenting on too. Yeah. So,
Oh, well, great. I'm glad. I'm so glad.
okay.
All right.
All right.
Well, beautiful. Well,
Have
have
a
a beautiful week because I won't
yeah.
see you.
Yeah, have a
And
great
stay safe.
retreat. Yeah, too. Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Let's see if I can end this.